Welcome, class. My name is Professor Carmina Martinez. Welcome to the Introduction of Cultural Anthropology 2351. This will be an 8-week course for the spring of 2024. So before we dive into our PowerPoint, just want to talk to you a little bit about what is anthropology and one of the things that it helps us understand. Anthropology really dives in to trying to understand the human experience. What does it mean to be human? And why are we so different? How do we view the world around us? How do we view reality? Do we see something like the landscape as alive? Or what is our relationship to our ancestors, to the spirit world? What happens to us after we die? So all of these aspects reveal our cultural reality. And there is no one universal absolute truth of how humans view the world. As a matter of fact, the way we view the world and our role in it, it comes from many generations of adaptive choices and behaviors that have been passed down either by your ancestors from your direct lineage, from your bloodline, or perhaps from the people that have raised you, even if they're not related to you. So throughout many generations of adaptive choices that humans have made, really influence who we are today, what we view as what is appropriate to do, what is food, what foods are appropriate and what are prohibited. How should I perhaps dress, or how should I communicate with the spirit world in some cases. So in anthropology, we will learn that humans, we are constantly producing and reproducing culture. And so in order to understand ourselves as human beings and try to understand what is this human experience, what does it mean to be human? Anthropology dives into studying human behavior and to look at this as these adaptive models are something that has been learned and shared throughout time. And this, we also look at genetic differences and so forth, and what we inherit from our ancestors. But in cultural anthropology, we're going to be focusing mostly on the learned and shared behaviors that have been passed down to us and help us shape the way we view the world around us. So, for example, let me pull up our PowerPoint here. So again, anthropology will teach us that there's different ways of viewing the world. And here are some examples of some that we will cover in this class. I'm not quite sure we'll cover the Inuits. But over here, you see an Achman, if you can see my arrow pointing, this is a Mayan priest, the continuity of Mayan priest in the Yucatan. And whether we can understand what he is doing in this ritual, why he is calling down multiple winds to this center where he has stationed himself to call down upon winds for various purposes, whether it's for calling down rain, to call down to help heal the family that lives in that territory, or to call and speak to the spirits of the land to help this family achieve a great harvest. Over here we have, next to him, we have an example of a Huichol, indigenous Huichol that does pilgrimages once a year, covers vast territory in this recreation of their creation myths. Their story of how they came to be and how their ancestors taught them to survive in the land. And throughout this pilgrimage that they do for days, they are constantly consuming peyote. Peyote is a hallucinogen cactus, and for them, for the Huicholes, it is their religion. And we will learn more about the Huicholes and the challenges that they face, as well as learning more about the Mayan priest. Here's another example of the Sunday Society in West Africa. A young female undergoing an initiation. And in this ritual, we disguise their identity is hidden because the community is not to know who is under that mask. And nonetheless, what is taking place here is the calling of the ancestor spirits to take over the body and to take, so calling upon a possession, a willing possession, to be able to communicate with a community. And here we have the Inuits' sacred whale hunt, and as well as other ways of obtaining food. What is appropriate food, as I had mentioned? What is an appropriate hunt? When is this to be conducted? Also, hunting under the ice, under the tundra ice, is another example. So, what do we learn from all of these experiences? We learn that all of these human beings have different modes of communicating with their ancestors, the way they view reality, and how they see themselves in relationship to nature and to the community. What is their role in it? And we also look at how these traditions continue and how they change. So, in other words, in anthropology, we dive in to see the cultural differences, but also find the similarities that make us humans. So, in this class, I really hope that you are able to learn and appreciate, to understand cultural diversity, and it is meant to encourage you to explore perhaps behaviors, belief systems that are very different than yours, without judgment. In other words, to have more of a curiosity for understanding, and in doing so, it doesn't change your belief system. It doesn't change who you are. As a matter of fact, I hope in this course it will provide also a reflection, an auto reflection of our own culture and how it has influenced the way we behave, the way we dress, the way we see ourselves in relationship to others, what is culturally appropriate, and so forth. So, in this discipline, again, it's anthropology seeks to contribute to understand the complexity of being a human being and to understand the human experience. Okay? All right, so let me tell you a little bit. Our overall goal in this class is to know that there are no cultural hierarchies. And you will see this slide again as we dive into our introduction. Anthropology will stress and over that culture is something that we learn. It's something that we share. So it has to be something that's socially transmitted. These ideas and these values, these symbols, how is it that you can, we recognize certain symbols because we're familiar with them, certain behaviors. And these are also modes, like I said, adaptation, choices that people have made, generations have made to help them adapt to their environment and also to give meaning to their life. So overall, when we look at these examples, whether they be very different from what you've seen or what you've experienced, let's try to please be open-minded and not view any cultural hierarchies. In other words, in anthropology, no culture is superior to another. Let me tell you a little bit about my experience and the research that I have done. My specialization has focuses on the first example that I gave you with the Mayan priest, the Mayan Achmen of the Yucatan. This is the area where I really focused my research throughout years. I have spent years abroad, living in various places throughout the Yucatan Peninsula. For those that might not be familiar with it, it's the peninsula of Mexico, the tip of Mexico, and most of you might be more familiar with this tourist location known as Cancun, or the Caribbean. So from here, this area, it's a very vast area. We have 3 states connecting. We have the Yucatan, we have Campeche, and Quintana Roo. Quintana Roo is where the Caribbean is. The Yucatan and Campeche also reaches the Gulf. So we have the Gulf of Mexico that merges with the Caribbean. So it's a beautiful area. And I picked this area not only because my family, from my father's side, is originally from this state, from Campeche. So we still have a lot of family in this state. And from my grandmother, from my father's side, my grandmother was Mayan. And she was the last one in this family to speak Mayan. But some of her, traditions still continue. And so I decided to focus on this area because, one, I was familiar with this territory, but I had not had the experience to really live among the local indigenous people. And I decided to focus on seeking out Mayan priests and understanding the continuity, how they have continued throughout this time. What are their traditions? What are their rituals? What are their belief systems? And this research began way before we heard about the end of the Mayan calendar, 2012. So having this area as my field work, I had already established a network of Mayan priests, and I was able to study how the Mayans viewed the end of the Mayan calendar, how they viewed all this global phenomenon that throughout the globe everyone was turning to the Mayans and said, the Mayans predicted that the world will end in 2012. Because according to the Mayan calendar, there was a calculation, a cycle that completed, but did it mean the same for the Mayas? Did they really view the world was about to end? Did they have this apocalyptic view? And therefore, my last research grant was a Fulbright grant that lasted from 2012 to 2013. And in my field work, I was able to live in communities, live among the Mayan, see their everyday life, everyday practice, participate in various rituals, from community rituals, agrarian rituals, to meetings that they would have as we approached 2012. And again, this was, through various years, started working with them since 2006. As we got closer to the date, we started seeing the rise of NGOs, of non-government organizations, and different Mayan groups throughout the world. The Yucatan Peninsula Mayas, with Guatemala's Mayas, Chiapas, Honduras, Salvador, and Belize. They started coming together to talk about what 2000 meant for them. And I was able to document their efforts and the message that they wanted to bring to the world. And also got to live with a Mayan priest and be able, like I said, to carry out everyday activities and document local healing rites and agrarian rituals. Another group that here's Don Hermes, one of the Mayan priests, and we're conducting a land. This is a blessing for a house. So there's various types of rituals that we were able to work, to document. Also collected local stories that could be viewed as prophecies. For example, this mural right here has now become a very popular mural. This was found. This mural, you would be able to only see it in a cave in a little town of Mani, where an artist was able to capture an oral tradition that has continued for many generations, in which they talk about the guardian of the cenotes. Cenotes are sinkholes in the Yucatan. They don't have rivers. They have what we would call like underground rivers. And so, sinkholes open up, or entrances to cave, and that lead to fresh water. And the guardian of the cenote would one day, water would be so scarce that humans would have to sacrifice their youngest child in exchange for a small amount of water, of drinkable water. And again, this reflects to be able to understand this oral tradition, we have to understand the topography. We have to understand how important water is to the ancient Mayans, and continues to be important today for the Mayas that continue to do these agrarian rituals. In my last visit last summer, I was not surprised, but I really love that I see this oral tradition being displayed in various towns now. Ever since 2012, tourism has really increased in the area. And now we find these oral traditions, as I had just mentioned, that originally were just found in a little town in a cave, and now they are depicted through various towns. So here you have this, the same story, and they're painted in the trees. So this is water prophecy. The other group of people that I focused on working with were various groups that came from all parts of the world, and they do not have a centralized belief system. They kind of merge different belief systems and apply it, also known as New Age practices, where they look to ancient cultures, various ancient cultures throughout the world. In this case, most of the people that came here to do some form of offering or prayer, meditation, ritual, they really focused on trying to understand the ancient Mayas and what ceremonies they conducted. And therefore, there's also leaders, spiritual guides in this area that would carry out certain offerings or certain meditations or rituals for them. So I was able to work with various New Age groups that were coming to the Yucatan Peninsula in preparation for 2012, and also do kind of a comparative study to how traditional Mayan priests, how they carry out their ceremonies, and compare their belief systems and their worldviews. Okay, so if many of you are wondering, what did the Mayas say about 2012? Did they have the same apocalyptic view that was very much portrayed throughout Hollywood and throughout the world, and this hysteria that took place? No, they did not. We will dive into Mayan cosmology as we introduce the Ahmed, the Mayan priest. But one of their worldview is cyclical. Therefore, it's a cycle, and it does not end. And in understanding the Mayan calendar and how they measure time, you also know that they measure time to, it's infinite. and therefore perhaps there was a conclusion in a cycle. um, and there's various archaeologists that have tried to decipher the 2012 calendar, its meaning. But in regards to today's Mayas, the Mayan priest and Mayan people, they did not see it as the end of the world. As a matter of fact, they saw it as the return of their ancestors, the reemergence of indigenous knowledge, and they took this opportunity to claim their space and bring about their concerns, demand their rights as indigenous people, and also made several changes throughout the education system, to make sure to reassure that the continuity of Mayan language and Mayan traditional healers, Mayan priests, and just in general Mayan cosmology does not die out. There's a big concern with every generation. There's always a concern that every new generation keeps moving away from tradition and from our own culture. And in this form, they used this platform to really bring this awareness to the Mayas. You know, we are still here. Many people go to the Yucatan Peninsula, looking for the ancient Mayas, visiting these beautiful sites that they refer to as sacred sites, and forgetting that the Mayas still continue. The Mayas are still alive. They're still there. And in particular, this area of the Yucatan Peninsula, the Mayan language has survived very strong in this area. All three states speak Yucateca Maya. And so we'll get into this detail as we look into linguistics and other aspects. Okay? So anyways, you can see that I'm very passionate about my research study, and while this class is not about Mayan cosmology, you will see me bring this up quite a bit because this is my specialty. But I try to get examples from different cultures throughout the world, and I really like to dive into different worldviews and the relationship to how people see the relationship to the spirit world and nature. And so we'll see a lot of different examples of rituals and so forth. So I'll go into how we're going to break down the topics. For this course, you do not need a textbook, and no previous anthropology courses are required, because we will start with covering the introduction to theory and how we came about, how this field of study emerged. And the only two assignments, aside from the exams, are two article reports. And these article reports are already posted on Blackboard. You have access to them. I recommend that you already start working on them and get them out of the way. And I have put a deadline for each report. So you can work on it at your own pace, but there is a deadline to submit it. So the first article report is due on April 15th, April 15th, and the second article report will be due on May 6th. Okay? We will have 3 exams in this class, and the exams are all lecture based. So I'm going to go into the topics, how we're going to divide the first, second, and third exam. And we will have our first exam by April 3rd, and that the first exam will be 20%. I give less points on this just because it's your first exam, and most tend to do very well. But if those that don't follow instructions on getting the examples strictly from the lecture, tend to fail. And so in this course, most of my students do very well. It's not meant to be difficult. That being said, those that have not done well, have been because either the work has not been submitted and then they fall behind. This is an 8-week course, so you have to be diligent on your own to watch all the videos before the exam date. You can watch it at your own time, and they're already in certain folders I'm going to point out to you. But you need to be able to watch all the videos before the exam date and answer the questions based on the information provided. Some examples of students that have failed have been taking the exam question and putting it in the internet or in AI and generating an answer for that question. This is a very specialized course, and while some of these cultures you might be able to find information on them, it is very noticeable when this is done, and this will cause a disqualification for your grade. It's not meant to be difficult. AI is used to correct your grammar, to correct what you want to express based on what you have learned. So that that is very much welcomed. But if you take, for example, in a term, there's essay questions and there are terms that you must answer, and the terms, they're short answered. You put the definition, and I want you to put an example of where this term was applied in the lecture. But let's say you get this term, find a definition online, find an example for it that's not covered in this course, it's a disqualification. All right. So by the second exam, you should already have a really good grip of how this is going to be graded and what we expect. And so the second and the final exam are worth 25% of your grade. And then, as I mentioned, the 2 article reports are 15% each. Okay? So let me go now to our Blackboard page and just show you. There's, so you have your syllabus here. It's already posted. And if you need to reach me, my email is there. You can also reply through here. The PowerPoints are posted already. And the article reports on the course assignments, the article reports are already there, and that's where you submit the work. All work must be submitted through Blackboard. No email work through my ACC email will be accepted, unless there's like a problem with. We have to communicate if there's maybe some something wrong with Blackboard, and it has happened. Then that's the only time I accept email work. But in order for you to receive your grade and view it, it must be submitted through here. Okay, so the video materials. Let me first explain how we're gonna divide this 8-week course. The first part is the longest because it has to do with cultural anthropology, the introduction. You'll learn about the theories and methods, and we're going to learn various examples of how this is applied. So from here, these videos are already uploaded. Then our second part, our second exam, will deal with religious worldviews. And from here, we will learn about death rituals, ancestor worship, and ritual healing. We'll dive into perhaps ideas of magic, sorcery, and pilgrimages to sacred sites. And our final exam will be on part 3. All the videos are not uploaded yet for this part, but I will upload them. This will deal with body art and body modification. So this section, we will look at how the body is used and various forms of expression. And so far we do have some videos already uploaded, but we're still pending some. Okay, so let me show you how to access the videos. So under instruction materials, you have video materials. So for the first exam, you must view these 2 folders before the first exam. You can click on here and you already have the videos uploaded. Okay. So you'll look at general introduction, and you'll look at theories and methods. There's a couple of videos that do not upload correctly that I'm working on correcting that, as you can see. So I will get this corrected and uploaded. As well as our first general introduction, the videos that are that show up there, you can hear them, but you can't see the video move. So I'm going to send you the links to those. Those are the only ones so far that have that issue. We were able to correct the other ones. But again, we'll focus on this for now. For the first exam, please view the videos in these two folders before our first exam. Okay? And then for our second exam, I have put all the videos in here on religion, death rituals, ancestor worship, and healing. And for our final exam, I'm still pending videos to upload here for body art and modifications. All right? Okay, so if you have any questions at all, please email me at any time. Now that this class has started, I do check my emails daily. I will usually respond right away or within 24 hours. If you feel that you need additional help or falling behind, please communicate. Like I said, this class is not meant to be difficult, and most of my students do extremely well. Those that have not done so is because either they have not completed or submitted the work, or don't follow the instructions posted on the exams on how to answer the question. And again, it's based on lecture material. Encouraged to use AI for your grammar corrections, for your, to piece together your ideas, but not to answer the question for you. There is a big difference, and it is very noticeable. Again, we study human behavior. We study how the trends and changes that happen through, that are constantly changing. And therefore, this is one thing that has been very noticeable. All right? If you have any questions at all, again, please email me at any time. I hope you enjoy this class, and I look forward to it. Thank you.